Hey guys. So, since the podcast is not up and running yet, I'm trying to just come at you guys at little bits and give you stuff to get you through the week, right? So on, Wednesday, whatever, earlier this week, I talked about 5 tips for getting out of a funk. And today, I'm going to talk to you guys about, I guess this is what people call like willpower or motivation or determination or inspiration, but honestly for me, it's not an option. So this is just some good solid advice and truth for you guys this Friday morning. So Mark took the girl since we don't have any power. He couldn't work yet, so I sat outside, medicated. I haven't had any caffeine, if you can tell that I'm a little, right? It's been a rough morning without power, so this is definitely happening. But, so, really guys, like I was talking to a new friend yesterday, and we were talking about our sobriety. And I'm getting my sobriety date tattooed on my bicep next Thursday. Or this Thursday coming, I'm getting my sobriety date tattooed on my bicep because, it's only 4 years. I say only. It's only 4 years sober, but guys, like, there is no going back for me. There is not, because once you get a taste of the good life, like, you're not willing to go back. And so whatever it is that you're trying to push through or work towards, you've got to at least keep going to where you get to a point where it starts to get really good. Because it will. You have to get through the mud. You have to get through the shit. You have to get through the thick of it before it starts to feel good. Because it will. Whether you're doing therapy, whether this is your health and fitness journey, a sobriety, or, sobriety works for both. Any of that stuff, whatever, you're dealing with. Mental illness is a little different because that's not something you could just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna push through, because I feel like you actually have to do things to work through that. But guys, honestly, all of this life is, one of the reasons that I didn't do AA, and it's not that I have a problem with it. I think it's amazing. I think that it saves lives. I think that, it's great. But one of the big reasons why I didn't do it was because I didn't want to keep living in the past, in the person that I used to be. I'm not very proud of her. I've done a lot of work to be able to love her a little, but I'm not her biggest fan. And I just wanted to be better, I just wanted to be better and become a better person so that I could go to these people who, were a victim to my drinking or whatever, what have you. And I wouldn't even need to say the words because it would be enough, right? Like that's what I envisioned. And when I got to this place where I saw how good my life is sober, like it's hard, it's much harder in a different way, because it was so hard being an alcoholic and not being open about that, or even just struggling with that and using the alcohol to cope with everything in life like my brain wants it to. Like all of that, guys, like the hard was really hard, but I put all that on myself, right? Like I just kept beating myself further down and down with the hard. Like a lot of people don't realize how hard their life is when they're in the thick of it, right? And so like it's just a different hard. But one of those hards gets you to a place where it's like, you know what? This hard is so worth it because I will never go back to that life. I will never go back to slim, fast meal bars at lunch and lean cuisines at dinner and 3 hours at the gym. Like, I will never go back to that life. I will never go back to the life of drinking, that doesn't mean that I don't always think about it and always want it. Like, I was talking to Alyssa yesterday, who our sobriety dates are actually exactly 6 months apart. But we could not be more polar opposites in our addiction. Like, we were completely different alcoholics, and it was really cool to compare the stories. And, I have a feeling that we're going to be doing some things to share that, because I think that people, they look for one thing. They look for certain characteristics in an addict or in an alcoholic. And so many people tell themselves for a really long time that they aren't one because they don't fit the mold, or they're not worried about it. They're not even looking out for it. They don't see the signs, all of it. But I'm telling her about the cruise, and I'm telling her the day that Mark said, like, is it hard for you? And then I got a little teary-eyed, and I told him, like, baby, I know how many drinks you've had today. I know how many drinks Heather's had while she's around me. I know, what everyone is drinking. And she was like, yes. And it was really cool to even just connect to somebody who's like, their brain is always focused on the booze too. Like, we're proud of our sobriety. We talk about it. We are never going back. But that doesn't mean that the struggle still isn't there. Like, the struggle is always going to be there, but you have to know that the life that you crawled out of, that well that I always talk about, that well that you crawled out of, is not worth going back in. So whatever you have to do to stay on land, you do it. You do it. That's it. You have to get to the point, I know I say this all the time, the whole, like, great things come from inspiration or desperation, but I think, like, really, really, really phenomenal things come from desperation alone. Because I could be inspired to do something, but make me desperate, and it's gonna fucking happen. Like, you've just, maybe you're not desperate enough. That's probably something you didn't think you'd be telling yourself if you're in a funk, right? Like, are you desperate enough? Are you desperate enough to do the things that you need to do to get to the other side? Because once you get to that other side of whatever it is you're battling, I promise you, life does not get easier, but it gets easier to take. It gets easier to take, right? But you've got to do all the things, guys. Like, I don't just talk about personal development to talk about it. I talk about it because it literally changed my life. If you don't have the time or don't have the money to go to therapy, get yourself some good books, because you can do that shit while you're driving your minivan around, while you're doing your laundry, while you're doing the dishes, while you are doing your life. You can be upping your life. You can level up in the amount of time that you already spend during the day. Trust me, you are worth $16 a month for an Audible membership. I didn't get to this place overnight, but and even the way that I quit drinking, I didn't hit a rock bottom, but I got to the point where I didn't want to hide any part of my life, and that was a part that I wasn't proud of, and that was a part that I would have never shared with you. I wouldn't even post a picture of myself having a glass of wine on a Friday, because I did not want to draw attention to my drinking. Like, chances are, if you're fighting with something, you're fighting through something, you know what you need to do. You just think it's so hard, but you don't realize the hard that you're fighting every single day. Get desperate, get angry, get pissed off, or get inspired. But you just gotta get moving. And then you have to get to a point where you tell yourself, like, all right, whatever this new heart is, I'm gonna suck it up, because it's not worth going back. After I broke my neck, there was no going back. There was no going back to that old life. I wouldn't make it, guys. I almost didn't make it out of that one. Like, I don't want to go back there. Not even a little bit. So whatever I have to do, I'm going to do. So I'm not motivated. I'm not this huge inspiration. I'm just somebody who is so fucking fed up with their old life that I'm not willing to go back. And that's it. And that's what I want for you guys, because it's so much better on the other side. Come join me and drink the Kool-Aid. All right, gotta go, guys. I think I'm gonna be working out on my deck today because I don't have any power, so I don't have any lights in my gym. So deck workout on my phone. You can do this anywhere, no excuses.